Shalom, shalom, everybody. Man. Yeah. Welcome back, man. Welcome back to the next episode of Reading with Shiloh. What's up? What's the business, man? What it is, what it ain't, what you can, and what you can't. And apparently tonight we had to start over 3-4 times. Yeah, the lights flickering on and off, shut off the internet. So kick me off on this one. But hey, we back at it. We back at it. I'll adjust all the stuff in the description after. Let me just go ahead and make it through. We're gonna make it through and finish up with chapter 2. Hope everybody's doing wonderful, man. As like I was saying, it's storming out here, and it's been storming for a minute. Shit, man. Hey, when y'all come on in, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man. Shiloh out here reading shit, doing shit, learning shit, being better, baby. We about to do what we got to do, because you have all that you need to succeed, and we're going to succeed today. We're going to succeed at part 6 and finishing off chapter 2 of Mr. C.L.R. James' sea of pages that he has laid before us, man. The Black Jacobins, the Toussaint Louverture, and the San Domingo Revolution. And we're almost done with part 2. We're almost done with chapter 2. So we just got to deal with the weather out here. We just got to deal with the weather. I know it's worse in other places, so we're going to have to deal with it. So, but anyway, man, when you come in, hey, put something in the chat so I can know that the chat working, man. Where you from? Tell me where you from. Hi, shalom, something, man. I don't put no humbug in my chat. But, hey, it don't matter whether you do or you don't, as long as every little bit helps. We're going to keep growing the channel, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And right now, we're going to read, man. We're going to read all row. We're going to get to rowing. We're going to get to rowing. Chapter 2. We got about 6 pages. 6 pages left. About 6 pages left to run through in chapter 2. So it shouldn't take us the whole hour. It shouldn't take us the whole hour. So this one might be a short one. Maybe. We'll see. We shall see how I read tonight or today. I'm feeling good right now, so hey, I think I'm gonna read good. And normally in the morning, like this, hey, I normally read good like this in the morning. So hey, but before we get into it, before we get into the reading or the rowing, man, let's get our routine going. Shalom, everybody. I don't know what the hell them things mean. We're going to get to going, man. We're going to work our body, work our mind, and then work our body again. That's what we're going to do. That's the routine that I'm trying to build. That is the habit I'm trying to build, at least for me. So, hey, hopefully you can build one too. Work on your building routines. But the thing is to be consistent. We have to be consistent. Consistent and repetitious. Repetitive. If we want the habit to grow. So give me 25 things, whatever it is. 25 things. 25 of them. Whatever you gonna do, man. Whatever you gonna do. Whatever it is for you, man. I like them these Shaolin monk drills I've been doing. I already did 50 of them. So by the end of this, I'll have done 50 more. So that'll be 100 for me this morning. 100 of that, and I guess I'll keep working out after I read. But hey, man, get off your ass. Like I'm about to get off mine. Let's do 25 things. Come on, 25 of them. Let's get it. 25 things. What you gonna do? Do something, man. We gotta be better, man. We gotta, if you got weight on you, get the weight off you. Oh, if you're trying to trim up and thin up, go ahead, handle your business, man. You're trying to get formed up, do something. But it starts with you doing something. So let's do something. 25 things. Let's get up. Get your ass up. Let's do 25 things. All right, let's go, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, come on. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Bust up. I guess I'll do some push-ups too. Since I'm the captain. 25 things, whatever it is, man. 25 of them. Let's get some. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 22, 3, 4, 25. 25 things. I'm out here. I did mine. Oh, woo. I'm out here. Captain of the ship, baby. King of the pirates. All right. Now that the work in the body part is out the way, let's get to work in our mind. Let's work our mind. Let's work our mind with Mr. C.L.R. James's book, The Black Jacobins. Man. Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution. Man. A revolution is what we need. Revolution is what we need. And what it starts with is you. The revolution starts with you. It starts with you and it starts with your mind. You have to burn down the plantations that are built up in your mind and rebuild them in a new nation. Rebuild it under a new authority, a new supremacy. Get the Terminator ready. I got my dictionaries ready. If it's your first time to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those that is not your first time, welcome back. What up, baby? I'm Shalom. So any words that I come across that I don't know, or maybe I have a problem pronouncing, I'm going to look them up. I'm going to look them up, whether it's a dictionary or the Terminator. We're going to look it up and see what they mean to try to get a better understanding of what we're reading and what's being laid before us. We stopped in chapter 2 yesterday, so we're going to pick back up in chapter 2 and finish off chapter 2 today. That is the objective. That is the objective. So, come on in. Let's begin. Go tell your family and your friends. Get your next of kin. It's going down, baby. In the house of Shiloh tonight. It's going down. All right. Chapter 2, the owners. The owners. Chapter 2. I don't know what you came to do, but I came to read this book. We're going to open the page and take a look. Chapter 2, the owners. This is part 6 of The Black Jacobins. Part 6 of The Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James. Chapter 2, the continuation of chapter 2. And we're going to read however long it takes us to read these 6 or 7 pages. The industrial bourgeois were beginning their victorious attack upon the agricultural monopoly, which was to culminate in the repeal of the Corn Laws in 1846. The West Indian sugar producers were monopolists whose methods of production afforded an easy target in Adam Smith and Arthur Young. The forerunners of the new era commended or condemned the whole principle of slave labor as the most expensive in the world. And besides, why not get sugar from India? India, after the loss of America, assumed a new importance. And the British experimented with sugar in Bengal, received glowing reports, and in 1791, the first shipments arrived. In 1793, Mr. Randall Jackson would preach to the company's shareholders a little sermon on the new orientation. It seemed as if Providence, in 1793, Mr. Randall Jackson would preach to the company shareholders a little sermon on the new orientation. It seemed as if Providence, when it took from us, America, would not leave its favorite people without an ample substitute. Or who should say that Providence had not taken from us one member more seriously to impress us with the value of another? It might not be good theology, but it was very good economics. And Pitt and Dundas saw the chance of capturing the continental market for France by East Indian sugar. There was cotton and indigo, and the production of cotton in India doubled in a few years, and Indian free labor cost a penny a day. But the West Indian vested interests were strong, and statements do not act merely on speculation, and these possibilities by themselves would not have accounted for any sudden change in British policy. It was the miraculous growth of San Domingo that was decisive, and Pitt found that some of 50% of the slaves imported into the British islands were sold to the French colonies. It was the British slave trade, therefore, which was increasing French colonial produce and putting the European market into French hands. Britain was cutting its own throat, and even the profits from this export were not likely to pass, and already a few years before the slave merchants had failed for 700,000 in a year. The French, seeking to provide their own slaves, were encroaching in Africa and increasing their share of the trade every year. And why should they continue to buy from Britain? And Holland and Spain were doing the same. And by 1786, Pitt, a disciple of Adam Smith, had seen the light clearly. He asked Wilberforce to undertake the campaign, and Wilberforce represented the important division of Yorkshire. He had a great reputation, all the humanity, justice, stain on national character, etc., would sound well coming from him. And Pitt was in a hurry. It was important to bring the trade to a complete stop quickly and suddenly. And the French had neither the capital nor the organization to make good the deficiency at once, and he would ruin San Domingo at a stroke. In 1787, he warned Wilberforce that if he did not bring the motion in, somebody else would. And in 1788, he informed the cabinet that he would not stay in it with those who opposed. And Pitt was fairly certain of success in England. With truly British nerve, he tried to persuade the European governments to abolish the trade on the score of inhumanity. The French government discussed the proposal amicably, but by May 1789, the British ambassador wrote sadly that it seemed as if all the French government's negotiations had been to compliment us and to keep us quiet and in good humor. The Dutch, less polite, gave a more abrupt negative, but here a great stroke of luck befell Pitt. France was then stirring the pre-revolution attacks on all obvious abuses, and 1 year after the abolitionist society had been formed in Britain, a group of liberals in France, Brisset, Mirabeau, Pichon, and Condorcet, Abbé, Gregory, all the great names of the first years of the revolution, followed the British example and formed a society, and the Friends of the Negro. The leading spirit of Brisset, a journalist who had seen slavery in the United States and the society aimed at the abolition of slavery, published a journal, Agitated. This suited the British down to the ground. Oh, that's right. And Clarkson went to Paris to stimulate the slumbering energies of the society, gave it money, supplied France and British anti-slave propaganda. And despite the names that were to become so famous and a large membership, we must beware of thinking that the Friends of the Negro represented a force. The colonists took them seriously. The maritime bourgeoisie did not. And it was the French Revolution which, with unexpected swiftness, would drag these eloquent Frenchmen out of the stimulating excitement of philanthropic propaganda and put them face to face with economic reality. These, then, were the forces which, in the decade preceding the French Revolution, linked San Domingo to the economic destiny of 3 continents and the social and political conflicts of the pregnant age. A trade and method of production so cruel and so immoral that it would wilt for the publicity which a great revolution throws upon the source of wealth. The powerful British government determined to wreck French commerce in the Antilles and agitating at home and intriguing. Let's see what that word is. I think it's intriguing. And intriguing in France among men who, unbeknown to themselves, would soon have power in their hands, and the colonial world itself divided, and the French bourgeoisie, each intent on its own purpose and unaware of the approaching danger, drawing apart instead of closer together. Intriguing.
Here's the definition of intriguing.
Yeah, I was right.
Arousing one's curiosity or interest.
I got you, going. I got you, Dusty Foot. Not one courageous leader, many courageous leaders were needed. But the science of history was not what it is today, and no man living then could foresee, as we can foresee today, the coming upheavals. Now, Mirabeau indeed said that the colonists slept on the edge of Vesuvius, but for centuries, the same thing had been said, and the slaves had never done anything. It was forewarning you, my boy. How could anyone seriously fear for such a wonderful colony? And slavery seemed eternal, and the profits mounted. Never before, and perhaps never since, has the world seen anything proportionately so dazzling as the last years of pre-revolution San Domingo. Between 1783 and 1789, production nearly doubled, and between 1764 and 1771, the average importation of slaves varied between 10 and 15,000. And in 1786, it was 27,000. And from 1787 onwards, the colony was taking more than 40,000 slaves a year. Ooh, 40,000 slaves at 6,000 apiece. You do the math. But economic prosperity is no guarantee of social stability. And that rests on the constantly shifting equilibrium between the classes. It was the prosperity of the bourgeoisie that started the English Revolution of the 17th century. With every stride in production, the colony was marching to its doom, and the enormous increase of slaves was filling the colony with native Africans, more resentful, more intractable, more ready for rebellion than the Creole Negro. And of the 500,000 slaves in the colony in 1789, more than 2/3 had been born in Africa. These slaves were being used for the opening of the new lands, and there was no time to allow for the period of acclimation, known as the seasoning, and they died like flies. For the earliest days of the colony towards the middle of the 18th century, there had been some improvement in the treatment of the slaves, but this enormous number of newcomers who had to be broken and terrorized into labor and submission caused an increase in fear and severity. In 1784, the administrators who visited one of the slave shops, which sometimes served as a marketplace instead of the deck of the slaver, reported a revolting picture of dead and dying thrown pell-mell into the filth. The Lejeune case took place in 1788, and in 1790, de Wimpfen states that not one article of the Negro Code was obeyed. Shalom, shalom. He himself had sat at table with a woman, beautiful, rich, and very much admired, who had had a careless cook thrown into the oven. Ooh, ooh. The problem of feeding this enormous increase in the slave population was making the struggle between the planters and the maritime bourgeoisie over the exclusive more bitter than ever. And the planters, after 1783, had forced a slight breach in the straitjacket which clamps them. Having tasted blood, they wanted more. And mulattoes, educated in Paris during the 7 Years' War, had come home, and their education and accomplishments filled the colonists with hatred and envy and fear. It was these last years that saw the fiercest legislation against them. And forbidden to go to France, where they learnt things that were not good for them, they stayed at home to increase the strength of the dissatisfied. With the growth of trade and of profits, the number of planters who could afford to leave their estates in charge of managers grew. And by 1789, in addition with the maritime bourgeois, there was a large group of absentee proprietors in France linked to the aristocracy by marriage, for whom San Domingo was nothing else but a source of revenue to be spent in the luxurious living of aristocratic Paris. Excuse me. Excuse me. Man. So far, had these parasites, excuse me. So far, had these parasites penetrated into the French aristocracy that a memoir from San Domingo to the king could say, "Sire, your court is Creole," without too much stretching of the truth. And the prosperity affected even the slaves. More of them could save money, but buy their freedom and enter the promised land. This was the San Domingo of 1789, the most profitable colony the world had ever known, and to the casual eye, the most flourishing and prosperous possession on the face of the globe, and to the analysts of society torn by inner and outer contradictions, which in 4 years would split that structure into so many pieces that they could never be put together again. Humpty Dumpty. It was the French bourgeoisie which pressed the button. And this strange San Domingo society was but a garish exaggeration, a crazy caricature of the ancient regime in France. And the royalist bureaucracy, incompetent and wasteful, could not manage the finances of France. An aristocracy and the clergy bled the peasantry dry, impeded the economic development of the country, and gobbled up all the best places, and considered themselves almost as superior to the able and vigorous bourgeois as the white planters considered themselves superior to the mulattoes. It made me think about that meme from Snowfall. Oh, they squabbling in here. Oh, they squabbling. As they say, the big whites and the little whites are squabbling, baby. Mm-hmm. Hey, that money will do it. That money will do it. That money will get you, baby. Man. But the French bourgeoisie, too, was proud, and no members of it were prouder than the maritime bourgeois. And we have seen their wealth. They knew that they were the foundation of the country's prosperity. They were buying up the land of the aristocracy, and they built great schools and universities. They read Voltaire and Rousseau. Voltaire, I've heard of Voltaire. Who was Rousseau? Rousseau. Not Rose, girl. Rousseau. R-O-U. R-O-U-S-S-E-A-U. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Rousseau. I think it's Rousseau. Let's see pronunciation. Yeah. Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. They read Voltaire and Rousseau. They sent their linen to the colonies to be washed and to get the right color and scent. And they sent their wine for 2 or 3 voyages to the colonies and back to give it the right flavor. They, along with the other bourgeois, chafed at their social disadvantages and the chaotic state of French administration and finance handicapped them in their business. A hard winter in 1788 brought matters to a head, and the monarchy was already bankrupt, and the aristocracy made a bid to recover its former power. The peasants began to revolt, and the bourgeoisie saw that the time had come for it to govern the country on the English model of collaboration with its allies and the radical aristocracy. In the agitation which began the French Revolution, the maritime bourgeoisie took the lead, and the bourgeoisie of Dauphine and Brittany, with their ports of Marseille and Nantes, attacked the monarchy even before the official opening of the States General, and the Mirabeau, the first leader of the revolution, was the deputy of Marcellus.
Here's a map of Marcellus. Here's a map of Marcellus, New York.
I didn't ask you for that, girl. M-A-R-S-E. Let's see. Marseille. Was a deputy for Marseille. From all over the country, the cares or a list of grievances poured in. But the French people, like the vast majority of Europeans today, had too many grievances of their own to be concerned about the suffering of Africans, and only a few cares, C-A-H-I-E-R-S, cares, pronunciation. C-A-H-I-E-R-S. Cahes? Oh, I don't hear that shit.
Soon at Delta College, so now is the time to come by, take a tour, meet our instructors and staff, and see why Delta has graduated so many successful practical nurses.
Shut your ass
Delta
up.
College works.
Nobody worry about no Delta College. Pronounce the damn word.
Cayes or
Cahiers.
Cayes.
Cahiers.
Cayes or Cayes.
Cahiers. Only, what is a cahier? What is a cahier? Let's see. Cahier. Good Lord. Cahier. An exercise book or notebook. And only few notebooks, chiefly from clergymen, demanded the abolition of slavery. And only few exercise books or notebooks, only few cahiers, chiefly from clergymen, demanded the abolition of slavery. Let me write that word down. Cahier. A cahier. Cahier. Cahiers. Cahier. Cahier. The State General met Mirabeau, Pichon, Mayor of France, Abbe Gregory, Condorcet, all members of the Friends of the Negro were deputies. All pledged abolition, but abolition for the maritime bourgeois was ruin. And for the moment, however, the States General grappled with the king. And while the French bourgeoisie led the assault on the absolute monarchy at home, the planters followed suit in the colonies. And as in France, the geographical divisions of San Domingo and their historical development shaped the revolutionary movement and the coming insurrection of the slaves. Ooh. I wonder if this would be considered a cahier, or maybe it's too big. Cahier. The pride of the colony was the great northern plain, of which Le Cap was the chief port, and bounded on the north by the ocean and on the south by a ridge of mountains running along the length of the island. It was about 50 miles in length and between 10 and 20 miles in breadth. Cultivated since 1670, it was covered with plantations within easy reach of each other, and Le Cap was the center of the island's economic, social, and political life. In any revolutionary upheaval, the planters of the North Plain and the merchants and lawyers of Le Cap would take the lead, but the slave gangs of the North Plain, in close proximity to each other, and the sooner aware of the various changes in the political situation, would be correspondingly ready for the political action. Very different was the West Province, with its isolated plantations scattered over wide areas. In districts like the Artibonite and I don't know how to pronounce these. Artibonite, the Varettes, the Mirabales, and St. Mark's. There were many mulatto proprietors, some of great wealth. And the South Province was a sort of pariah, somewhat sparsely populated with the majority of mulattoes. The eastern end, Cape Tiburon, was only some 50 miles from Jamaica, and here the contraband trade was particularly strong. Early in 1788, the North Province took the lead, and it formed the secret committee to secure representation in the State General. In Paris, the group of wealthy absentee noblemen formed a committee for the same purpose. The two groups collaborated in the Paris noblemen, and the Paris noblemen refused to accept the veto of the king. And at the end of 1788, the colonists summoned electoral assemblies and elected a delegation, some of whom consisted of their allies in Paris. And in the Cahier, they claimed abolition of military justice and the institution of a slavery judiciary. All legislation and taxes to be voted by provincial assemblies, subject only to the approval of the king and the colonial committee sitting at Paris, but elected by themselves. By restricting political rights to owners of land and the planters, effectively excluded the small whites who took little interest in all this agitation. Of the slaves and mulattoes, they said not a word, and slaves did not count, and the mulattoes secured permission from the frightened bureaucracy to send the deputation to Paris on their own account. But a number of the planters at home, and quite a few in Paris, the Club Messic, viewed this desire to be represented in the State General with distrust. The agitation from abolition of the slave trade in England and the propaganda of the Friends of the Negro, the revolutionary temper of France, filled them with foreboding. Oh man, that didn't make sense. The agitation for abolition of the slave trade in England, the propaganda of the Friends of the Negro, and the revolutionary temper in France filled them with foreboding. That made more sense. Representation in the state general by a few deputies could affect nothing, and it would bring the full glare of publicity and awakening political interest on the state of society in San Domingo, which was exactly what they did not want. But I bet I thought I heard something. But while the pro-representation group were in a minority, having a positive aim, they were bold and confident, and their opponents, with bad consciences and aiming only at avoiding trouble, could oppose no effective resistance. Now, colonial representation in the Metropolitan Assembly was an innovation unheard of at that time, but the San Domingo representatives, profiting by the revolutionary ferment in Paris, circumvented the objections of the king and minister. They petitioned the nobility who could shouldered them, who cold shouldered them. But when Louis tried to intimidate the Third Estate and the deputies went to the tennis court and swore that being the representatives of the people, they would never adjourn, Go de RC, or the RC, leader of the colonists, boldly led his group of colonial noblemen into the historic meeting. And out of gratitude for this unexpected support, the bourgeoisie welcomed them. And thus, France admitted the principle of colonial representation. Full of confidence, these slave owners claimed 18 seats, but Mirabeau turned fiercely on them. You claim representation proportionate to the number of the inhabitants, and the free blacks are proprietors and taxpayers, and yet they have not been allowed to vote. And as for the slaves, either they are men or they are not. If the colonists consider them to be men, let them free them and make them electors and eligible for seats. And if the contrary is the case, have we, in apportionate deputies according to the population of France, taken into consideration the numbers of our horses and our mules. San Domingo was allowed only 6 deputies, and in less than 5 minutes, the great liberal orator had placed the case of the Friends of the Negroes squarely before the whole of France in unforgettable words. And the San Domingo representatives realized at last what they had done. They had tied the fortunes of San Domingo to the assembly of the people in revolution, and thenceforth the history of liberty in France and of slave emancipation in San Domingo is one and indivisible. Unaware of these potentious developments, the colonists in San Domingo were going from victory to victory. As in France, the last months of 1788 in San Domingo had been hard, and France had to prohibit the export of grain, and under these circumstances, the exclusive was a tyrannical opposition threatening the island with famine. The governor opened certain ports to foreign ships, and the intendant, Barbé de Marbois, agreed to the first small breaches, but refused to sanction their extension. The matter went to the King's Council, who repudiated the governor and recalled him and appointed a new governor, with the colonists calling for the blood of the intendant. And this was the situation when on a day in September, a boat sailed into the harbor, and the captain, hurrying ashore, ran down the streets of Le Cap, shouting the news of July 14th. The king had been preparing to disperse the Constituent Assembly by force, and the Paris masses, arming themselves, had stormed the Bastille as the symbol of feudal reaction. The great French Revolution had begun. They didn't want to hear that shit. And that's chapter 2. We're going to stop there. That is chapter 2. I was stumbling over words, but we succeeded. We succeeded and moved through chapter 2. We traversed to the end of chapter 2, and we have made it to chapter 3. And chapter 3 is Parliament and Property. Parliament and Property. I'll come back with chapter 3 another time. Another time. Later on today. Ooh. I feel like a salad right now, man. Yeah, it was some stuff, man. Definitely some words I had to look up, like cahier. Intriguing. I thought, right? Excuse me. Let me see what some of these things say. Yeah, I think Kaye was the only one. Kaye. We got a family down here named Kaye. I wonder if they know what that name means, because it's got to be a French name. It's a French name. I've definitely heard it before. It might be spelt a little different, but it's pronounced Kaye, the same as Kaye when I looked it up, which means notebook. Notebook. Kaye. Oh, man. But anyway, while I'm yawning up in here, hey, man, I appreciate everybody that stopped by tonight, man, to listen to me plow through the rowing. Plow through the rowing. I hope that you took something from it. What did you learn and grow from? What did you take? What treasures did you find? Because that's what we're here to do, to expose the lies and pull the truths out of whatever books that they hide them in. Whatever books they may hide them in, whatever sea of pages they might have tried to dump the treasures to the bottom of the sea of pages. Man, oh man. But hey, we're doing our thing. We're moving right along. We are on chapter 3, and that'll be part 7 when we come through with part 7. Man, it took me about, hey, we almost to the hour mark anyway for the reading. The book has, excuse me. The book has 10, 11, 12, 13 chapters. 13 chapters. We're moving on to chapter 10. We're moving on to chapter 3, which means we have 10 chapters left. 10 chapters left. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing through. Hey, I got a little something going. We got a little something going. Look at that. That's a good little start. But look at all that. Oh, Lord. Oh. Hey, but you got to push through, man. A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Hey, a little motion is better than no motion. A little motion is better than no motion. Oh, wait. Oh, man. We done worked our body. We done worked our mind. Now it's time to work our body again, man. Work our body again in continuation of preparation of tearing down or burning down the plantations that we have in our mind, man. You got to be tore down. You got to do it. If you want to change in your life, you have to tear down the stuff that's already there. You have to be aware of the stuff that you have imprinted yourself with, the stuff you have downloaded. And you're still downloading. There are things that you're still intaking. You're intaking them through your different portals. Portals. Since we deal with a lot of maritime stuff, your portals from your eyes, your portals from your ears. Definitely some great portals that you are allowing downloads in. You have to be mindful of what you input. Be mindful of what you input. Be mindful of what you hold on to. Be mindful of what you take in and hold on to. I know that you can find things in in about anything. You can find things that you can learn and grow from about anything, but you still need to be mindful. You still need to be mindful and prepare yourself. Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Protect your mind. Protect your eyes. Protect your ears. And not only yours, protect your children's, because the things that you download and input into your mind and body and your brain, these are the things that you in turn will most likely imprint and input and download into your children's minds and brains. And man, the perpetuation and the continuation of the humbug and the tomfoolery is at a high, and it's been at a high, what's the word I'm looking for? We've been doing a lot. Yeah, we've been putting a lot of bullshit in our minds for a lot of years, a lot of continuation of the bullshit for a lot of years. And we need to stop. We need to block it off, like they block off the roads that's flooded, because that shit gonna overflow. It's gonna overflow into your children. It's gonna overflow into your household, into the other things around you. What you put out into the atmosphere, what you speak. They say your words give power. Your words are powerful. So, be mindful of what you speak. But I'm speaking that I'm going to help the revolution by reading, baby. I'm going to destroy whatever worlds, man. Whatever worlds that I can help destroy by the different books that I read, the different treasures that we unearth, the different lies that we expose and bring the truths to life. Bring the truths to the forefront. Kill off the lies and bring the truths to the forefront. Whether you like it or not. Whether we like it or not, because it has to come to the forefront. It's like a bump. Gotta come to a head so you can bust it. Bust it up. Yeah, but it is what it is. We succeeded, though. That was the objective. Since we have all that we need to succeed, the objective was to succeed with reading and finishing off chapter 2 and move to chapter 3. And we succeeded at that. We succeeded. I succeeded. So let's succeed at the next step. 25 things. Get off your ass. Give me 25 things. As a captain, I'm going to give you 50, since I'm the captain of this ship. I haven't found a name for the ship yet. But hey, captain of the ship, though. Shalom. We're going to figure out a name for the ship. What ship are we rowing on? Because right now it's a rowboat. We just rowing. But one day I'm going to get me a pirate ship. I'm going to get me a full ship with a mast. Cannons, ready to bust back at those who try to bust at me. Yeah, but this was part 6. Part 6 of the Seer Pages that's laid to us by Mr. C.L.R. James, the Black Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture, and the San Domingo Revolution. Hey, they did some work. He is doing a good work. But 25 things, man. Get off your ass. 25 things. I'm going to get back to my Kung Fu master jumps. Man, I'm trying. Oh man, hold up. Man, I would like to do that with my necklace on, but I know that jumping up and down like that with that necklace on gonna bust me in my mouth. And I ain't trying to knock out my teeth. Hey. So 25 things, whatever you're going to do, man, let's get it. 25, man. 25 things, whatever you're going to do, just get off your ass. Get off your ass, man. Let's get to moving. Man. It's better for you. Get the weight off you. Get your heart pumping. Get your breathing good. Oh, man. 25. Let's go, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. One more, baby. Ooh. I can tell you where I feel this shit. I was in the back of my 5. Oh, Lord. 25. Now let's do some push-ups. So like I said, I'm captain. I'm the captain of the ship, so I'm gonna lead the way, baby. We're gonna lead it out of here. Oh, I'm gonna be like Toussaint Louverture, lead y'all there. Let's go, baby. Let's lead. Lead by example. 25 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1. I like when I feel it in my chest. 1, 2, 3, 24, 25. Definitely make me feel like I'm doing something, shit.